Hello and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we raise women's issues. We've been discussing issues, I think, ranging from laws that help women, laws that don't help women, acid attack survivors. We've been discussing women's reproductive health, IVF, breast cancer. And of course, we've been taking up issues of domestic violence, on what the new age woman wants, on designing clothes for women, who decides that size 0 is normal, body shaming, and so on and so forth. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the new age woman. Is the woman of today redefining traditions? Are we going beyond the patriarchal norms and what was expected, women to be the quieter, the weaker sex, the one who just sits at home and listens to an extent, a lot of glass ceilings have been breached, but a lot more can be done. And are women trying, or are we actually, there are these invisible boundaries that we kind of keep facing every time we try and reinvent and try and do what we really want to do. So to discuss this with me on the show we have, of course, Richa Bansal. She is been heading strategic communications and leading Indian think tanks. We have Harshali Singh. She's a member judge at the Consumer Commission, and she's also the author of the Haveli series. And Vrinda Gopinath. She's a columnist, commentator, and a political analyst. Vrinda, I'll begin with you because you're also a lifestyle analyst. The woman of today, where do you see her, and the kind of we have come a long way since the days of Kanyadan and the days of sticking and ghungat wala days, but a lot more can be done also.
I think what could be interesting is, which I was just going through, is these new dating apps which are called from Bumble to Tinder and whatever. So Bumble has come out with a whole survey on 2023 on what women want, and actually they say that and according to their survey, that women say honesty. 49% say they'd rather have honesty rather than good looks or what you can be, and that you should be this trophy man.
Yeah.
And and they said things like that many of them are still influenced by their families of approval and whatever. And this is only a dating app. It's not like a marriage, but they do almost 40% both on both sides. 40% believe that it should lead to marriages. 40% actually say that no, it's okay to head for a live-in relationship. So there are a lot of things that have been discussed over there. So I'll carry on after to see.
Okay, so live-in relationships, Harshali, that's an interesting point, because today I think even parents are okay because they these rules have been redefined. It's not just live-in relationships, but even the idea of having a child. A lot of women are okay with not having a child. Now, of course, you can freeze your eggs also. There are all sorts of ways to get around it, and women are comfortable with that.
That is true, because I think finally women, to a large extent, I won't say all women in our country especially, but to a large extent, especially the younger generation, the generation who are new age parents, they are looking at owning their agency towards, to the extent where they feel more comfortable listening to their children, understanding where in our generation we couldn't even broach certain subjects with our parents. As parents ourselves now, we have given that leeway to our children to at least come and talk to us. We are giving them a patient hearing. May or may not agree is a different thing altogether. I think a lot of it depends on the external factors that are around us, the conditioning that we ourselves have.
You have daughters?
I have a daughter and a son.
Okay.
I have both, but I'm the middle one in 3 sisters. So I've seen both the sides of it. But certainly, I think we are more open as women ourselves and mothers to kind of take it on ourselves to educate our children that it's okay to be yourself. It's okay as women, growing women, young women, to say that, to say no. What we were not allowed. There was a certain stigma attached to the fact that a good girl doesn't say no. You were supposed to be in a particular way. You were molded in a way to adjust yourself, carve out or shave off, the things which were not fitting into the mold that society was setting up for you. But as new age parents, I think, or parents in as a whole, I think we are more accepting. We are more inclusive in our thought process. Have we reached where we should? Of course not, but we are getting there. So
So, Richa, women of today, what is your view on the girl of today? She steps out, and a lot of women we spoke to recently, spoke to groups of 25-year-old professionals, and most majority of them were saying that marriage is not our first priority. It's work and child. We can always adopt or have IVF, but the main first is work, and then maybe child, then maybe husband. So it's like that.
Yeah, I think we've come a long way, because I personally very strongly believe that economic empowerment is the route
Good
to
point.
freedom. It's the route to, I think, greater respect and greater agency over what you want to do with your life. But at the same time, I think the possibly the group that we are talking to is privileged, because data shows that labor force participation of women in the formal economy has actually fallen. It's below 20% today, maybe at 19%, and even less than 15% of those are in leadership roles. So I feel while it's definitely moved forward, and marriage, I think it's still a priority, whatever we may say. But yes, children are getting pushed in terms of age, and you have greater options beyond just freezing eggs. You can adopt, you can use surrogacy as a method, or you may choose to define nurturing not just through becoming a biological mother. So to some extent that is changing, but I think it's still a privileged group, because the actual numbers of women participating in formal economy, we don't even look at domestic work as work, are very low. They've actually fallen.
But this, I like what she said, good girls are those who just don't say no and just stick to the norm. But now the girls are becoming, to be a little bad is also good.
Well, as you say, good girls go to heaven, bad girls go everywhere. But the thing is that I think in the so-called urban, privileged, not privileged necessarily, because you have all various social incomes who are out there independent. I mean, of course, there's also the safety factor. I mean, we've just seen 2-3 gory incidents where the girls trust the guy, and then they get chopped up into pieces, and all these terrifying stories that have been coming. So safety is a big issue in that sense. But that aside, is that I think in this new world of whether it's surrogacy, whether it is dating apps, it's what everybody loves to do is shopping. So you're whether whether you're looking for an egg, whether you're looking for a sperm, whether you're looking for a date, everything is online, and you just it's shopping. So in that sense, I think it helps. I think the market has seen there's a lot of freedom. It kind of helps you choose and to enjoy it, rather than be stuck in a small little crowd, which is what we all grew up with. I mean, you went to a nightclub and you may have had a drink. Somebody bought you a drink at the bar, but quite often you knew the person somewhere remotely. But this is like the big wide world in a sense, where you are. I'm not talking about jobs. I'm talking again about relationships.
Yeah.
And the thing is that helps, because at least when you don't want to shop anymore, when you don't want to seek anymore, you can just stop. When you want to kind of start dating again, you can start all over again, because it's so easy to do it.
Yeah. Sorry.
How it defines relationships, I don't know, but I think people have ended up with a happy ever after story. Who knows?
No, fair enough. But in this world of swipe left rather than go into this the whole thing where you're up to arranged marriages to chodo. But even the girls, you're going and finding your own, whether not a marriage, but your own relationships, and you're okay to do it.
But see, my experience has been like that, because there is so much exposure to it, because it is a much more wider, kind of playground. The young people, I feel, have that freedom to date and to see what they like. But eventually, what I see more often than not, that they'll say that, okay, now I've done everything, now it's the age to get married, and now can you look for a girl who's going to, or a girl or a boy who will fit into our setup.
You're still marrying the family.
You're still marrying the family. So I feel it's very personal choice eventually, because you are the one who's going to be living that life. I think as she very rightly said, that financial independence has also given women a much more confidence than what they had earlier. So it's no more that they're getting married or getting into a relationship for money or for dependence. They're getting married or they're getting into a relationship because they want to be with you or they want to be with that other person. So I feel that gives you a lot of confidence to own up to your choices and say, okay, I'm doing this because I want to do it. So I think that really has changed the whole scenario in terms of relationship goes, because now you feel you're at equal footing. You're not dependent on anybody to provide for you. So it's no more that you are, second class citizen in your own home, where you are constantly looking at someone else to be in a good mood to ask them for money. Right? So I think that has been a huge game changer.
Yeah, this, not having to ask, this financial independence again builds a whole lot of other independence also. But this thing of, more and more women now, there is also a feeling that, early on it was the men who had all these affairs and they, at the end of the day, now women also feel more confident that we don't need a man at the end of the day. We can have a financial independence, we get our jobs, we get our, not, if you want to become a mother, you can become a single mother, there's no problem on that front. Divorce is no longer a stigma. So, a lot of those social glass ceilings are also being broken.
Yeah, I think men have to work harder to win over the women now.
Well said.
But yes, I do think divorce is much less stigmatized than it was probably a generation ago. Still very painful, but it gives women that opportunity with economic freedom and greater choices to sort of reinvent and rebuild their lives. So that's a good thing in that sense. And yes, women can choose what they want much more, and marriage is not the only form that can contain a relationship or an equation. I sometimes feel it's probably the men who want to settle down more, and I don't have data to support this necessarily, but the larger social expectations may have to change. I think that family and the role the family plays in a woman's life does come into play, but you have greater field to, a larger field to play in to navigate. But I will quote one data point, if that's okay. This is a study that was done on Delhi and NCR. It's a book which was done by a research consortium based out of the US called Colossus. And unfortunately, what it showed was that the social mores in Delhi are still fairly conservative. Like, women are studying more, but often it's to get a better match eventually. And that's something that's a larger conversation to be had. What women should, I mean, the word I choose from I should is a long journey.
Fair enough. But we also, all of us are also professional women, all of us are working. So, at the workplace, Rinda, do you find that, women versus men, is the space a bit more equitable? Is the level playing field more level?
Well, I must say, in all our in the media, I would imagine there's not very many women leaders out there who are taking the top job. The editors are mostly male. It's mostly male dominated. Of course, we've gone a long way from doing only lifestyle stories to doing, covering politics and war,
economics
and all that kind of stuff. But I'd be interested to know whether, when we talked about divorce and is that, what is their thing about getting remarried again? Is there a stigma still? How does that work? Because divorced men, it's easier, I would imagine, for them to find unmarried women rather than the other way around. And what happens to, like, say, older women? Is it easy for them to find men?
Versus older men.
Versus older men. Older men kind of, get even more kind of attractive to younger women. They do have the opportunity.
Because they're well off and they have, they've
Whereas, what about older women?
Because older women are still seen not in the same way as an older man. Older man can be justified, but he's arrived in life, he's well off. A woman may have arrived in life and equally well off, but somehow,
I don't think so. I think that what you pointed out is very, very pertinent to our society and everywhere else globally. I think women beyond a certain, as they very incorrectly say, over the hill. I think the best years come later on, but as they say very incorrectly, the woman's over the hill. I think she's settled, she's more confident in her life, and it shines through. And but sadly, the way the society is structured, it is it is that they're not considered good partners. They're considered, there are labels attached to an older woman who may have chosen not to to follow her career path, or may not have married, or may have had
Or
a
maybe
failed
divorced.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yes. There can be several reasons for it, but compared to a man, certainly we haven't reached that stage yet.
We find it more difficult to get a companion.
Certainly,
right?
certainly.
I think I'll go back to what the larger social narrative is. And we all know we are a patriarchal society. So that's not going to change. It's the women who have to change within themselves. And that is not easy. And I think for that, the sisterhood or role modeling actually matters. So women shouldn't look at acceptance from larger society or other men, you know, look at breaking that that ceiling at every level. And it's okay. There will be people who will accept you. There won't be people who will accept you. You have to accept yourself. That's what I feel, because I do agree with the fact that men and women are treated differently in the market, so to say, with a similar history.
Fair enough. I'm going to take a break and come back and keep this conversation going. So stay with us. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. Today we are discussing the new age woman and how she is perceived by the rest of the world, and what all can be done. But what are the best years of a woman's life? Is it which is the best decade in your point of view?
Well, I think the 30s and 40s were great.
Yeah.
Because your 20s you're still a bit
Unsure.
but 30s and 40s and 50s kind of really feeling good. And you're more confident, you're far more sure of yourself. And I mean,
Vis-a-vis a man's, which are the men's?
oh, yeah, I find men even more, what should I say, adolescent even when they're in their 20s and 30s, I mean, they really don't know how to deal with
A lot.
they don't know how to deal with women, so that's why there's always a tendency to go with somebody slightly older, because at least they know how to kind of deal with women better.
So the maturity gap between the woman and a
Huge,
man is huge.
huge.
Okay, you can't define it in numbers. Okay, which is the
I also feel that it's the late
40s?
30s and early 40s, which are, you've kind of finally figured out yourself and where your personality stands. You've kind of taken ownership of yourself and your decisions. You're not looking at validation from your parents or your spouse or your, so you are you've actually found your feet mostly. So I think that's a wonderful place to be in, and it's a very liberating feeling to have at that point of time.
I think every decade has been better than the last. I certainly
love
don't
that.
want to go back to my 20s.
I know.
And I think I'm still discovering my early 40s, and I'm loving it. Frankly, it's been the best so far.
The 40s.
So yeah, I don't agree with, you're aging like wine.
But
Good wine.
Yeah, good wine.
Definitely so. But Richa, for instance, we don't see very many single women, whether married or unmarried, who have kids. That's still, now of course a lot of celebrities are doing it, so it's becoming, but it's still more of a celeb, an exception rather than the norm.
I agree. I mean, I probably can think of one example.
Sushmita Sen.
Yes, and perhaps not a celebrity example also,
Okay.
I won't want to quote, or know of women who wanted to adopt, but it is hard for them. And I think it again boils down to social acceptance and how will society perceive you without having a partner, you're having a child. So it is very much there. And also I think the whole cost element of bringing up a child alone perhaps
Is also involved.
is also involved, is what I would say.
But does society feel that you're less of a woman if you're not a mother?
I think that's slowly vanishing.
That is.
Because, I mean, there's no, what one would call womb envy with anybody now. Like, oh my God, she's had so many children. That kind of, there was a time when I remember in the 30s, like women were quite happy, proudly talking about, oh, I've had so many children, that's a load of crap now. But the thing is that surrogacy, again, it's interesting
also
because, I mean, either you're too posh to push, as they say, and you just want somebody else to take the burden, So there are all those other elements that are there. But singlehood, it's actually being singular, which is what makes it more interesting, that you don't have to, and a lot of women are now opting for not having children. And it doesn't, you're not seen as barren and a spinster and, all those horrible connotations that once, it was there.
The thing is, one just feels that you have to explain. Sometimes you have any children, you can't just say no. They're looking at you like, "Aage batao, why no?" They're
To
still
explain why
that.
you're not
Yeah,
married.
parental pressure is always there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not so much that kids ka they have to explain more than why you're not married.
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. So yeah, that is true. I mean, there is a societal expectation that you will do the next thing as set out, for aeons, and as as it has been set out in the society. And slowly and steadily, I think people are realizing that there is a line that you don't cross. Women are feeling more comfortable in drawing those boundaries where you don't allow people to ask you those questions anymore. Because what happens is, as a society, I think we're a little too intrusive into other people's lives, and nobody
That's true.
nobody blinks before asking you a very personal question where you yourself feel, my God, did she really ask me that? And it's the women who do it usually. And they feel very, they feel very confident in asking you questions which may be triggering, or which may be overly personal. So I don't think as a society we have that concept of boundaries. And I think now women are, standing up and saying, okay, I'm drawing the line here, you don't cross that. So I think that is slowly changing, and I'm really glad for that, because you can't, as you very rightly said, that expectation from someone to tell you their deepest, darkest thoughts, or the reasons for living their lives the way they choose to,
Correct.
Should not be an expectation that you have with anybody. Whether it is your close friend or your sister or whatever, you have to respect each other's boundaries. And that's what I mean when I say women supporting women. It's not about just supporting them, in doing something or going out to party or anything like that, or taking a flag. And it's these small nuances that people need to understand, and especially women, that we need to give each other space to grow. And I think without that, this whole thing is just going to topple over.
So, Anuja, what is the complete woman of today? Earlier on the complete woman was a mother, who's a wife, and I think that was what the old complete woman was. Today, you can add financial independence to it, but have we gone beyond that also? Can a single woman living on her own, by her own terms, be a complete woman?
I mean, definitely the old definition doesn't apply anymore. I don't feel that does. And I feel there is something to be said about having your own space, which is pretty incomparable in some ways. But it's ultimately, it's really drowning out the noise. It's how complete you feel within at the end of the day, because the noise around you will still question that, because we still are a marriage heavy society, let me tell you that. But a complete woman is somebody who's financially independent, is living on her terms, in the sense she's true to her own beliefs, and is willing to make that choice, because it is swimming against the tide a little bit. But that doesn't mean you can't marry, you can't have partners or anything, but just on your own terms.
Yeah.
That is completion.
What is happening on your own terms is our weddings. I've seen women actually saying, a lot of them, that we're not a commodity, we don't want a kanyadan. Last week we had somebody on the show, she said, Marwari girl, and she said, I don't want to wear jewelry at my wedding, so I should be known for, not for the monetary worth gifts my parents gave me, but the degrees and the other opportunities they gave me. So, are you seeing a lot of weddings that are where women are having a say, redefining?
Well, a bit, but I mean,
Not much.
everybody loves a good party. Huh?
Okay.
I mean, it's like the weddings are like the biggest billion-dollar industry, and it's only growing in India.
Correct.
It's getting bigger and bigger with destination weddings, and 100 themes, and it goes on for 5 days, which used to be a very North Indian Punjabi thing. Now you go down south from Hyderabad to Cochin. I mean, you have this Sangeet, which was never part of the tradition. So, you have this 5-day extravaganza. So, in that sense, weddings are still very big. I think the girls just want to kind of have a good time. Fine, fair enough.
Which is, yeah.
And okay, now of course you have this thing like, I'll only wear flowers instead of jewelry. So, you're having these garlands and necklaces made of mograss or jasmine or whatever. And you have theme weddings now where you have art installations instead of like, flower decorations, that kind of thing. But in the end, it's still a big giant party. So in that, nothing has changed there. So people are just getting bigger and bigger with their weddings,
Yeah.
And yeah. So this little bit of like, of trying to be like,
Make a
different and
statement.
radical and make a statement, I think is just,
It's
but
just
yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
So these statements are just empty, just for the sake of it. Or, also I don't know how much they can carry on with them for the rest of the marriage. I mean, the wedding ceremony is just the beginning.
Yeah, I think to each his own.
To each his
very
own, yeah.
frankly, because you have on one extreme you have people who are having marriages in crores of rupees and spending mammoth amount of rupees, etc., or in dollars or whatever. And then you also have people who are giving to the society even though they're having a very simple wedding. And so you have all kinds of people, you have all kinds, because these are all journeys that they're having.
Yeah.
And this is an understanding that a couple makes for themselves and their families. So I think everybody is at a very different level of evolution. And I think if that gives them happiness, why not let them, if they have it, like spend it and
Flaunt it.
Yeah,
Have it, you flaunt it.
who's anybody? But in fact, I really like that question you asked, who's a complete woman? And I'd just
Yeah.
like to summarize that I think a complete woman is a woman who can make her own choices. Someone who has the power to make her own choices at whatever choice that may be is a complete woman, according to me. I think
Well,
That's what I said.
yeah, exactly.
I think
Absolutely.
it's just about that.
yeah, that is the.
Yeah.
But is there today someone you would say is a complete woman, or any of them that comes to mind, or any of you?
Well, I
mean-
guess, like say the Mahabharata, they have to have 5 men to show that they have to be a complete man, right? And then Draupadi was like the single woman who was herself. So they had 5 men to kind of have these 5 different traits. So I
Correct.
guess, so we are always complete, I guess.
On that note, but before we end, tell us a bit about your series, the Haveli series.
So the Haveli series is my attempt to portray with realism the issues that I see around women, because these are all women-centric books so far. And so they're from the gaze of a woman. It's a huge Sharma family who lives in the Haveli of the 100 Doors in Naugraha area in Chandni Chowk. And each book is a story. It's a series of books, of 9 books, out of which 3 are out. And these are stories of one daughter each. So 3 are out. So the 3 daughters I've covered. The first book, the themes that I've dealt with in the first book are domestic violence, marital rape, and complex love, and how second chances help a woman, or the evolution of a woman. The second book is on a slightly taboo subject of threesomes, and is the Indian woman who has been conditioned, born and brought up in the country, is she capable enough of handling the consequences of those choices? So that's called The Anatomy of Choice. And the third book, Paradox of Dreams, which is recently released, was also in the long list of the Oxford Book Cover Prize. That book is about a blind girl who is also an empath, and how she finds a kidnapped child through her abilities. So that's the fourth book is on the brother, who's the only brother in the 6 sisters.
So the men's
that's
point
going
of
to
view also comes
yes,
up finally.
comes in. So
Okay.
that's encapsulating the book. The books are published by Redomania, and they're available everywhere. So yeah.
Thank you. But thank you for this conversation, all of you, and we hope you enjoyed it. It was just a conversation, but I think it did highlight a lot on the new woman, the new age woman, the choices, and at the end of the day, she is someone who lives life on her own terms, and we're all very proud to be that. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.